Yes, Subharini ma'am, you can start, ma'am.
Okay, sir. A very good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. I extend a warm welcome to everyone joining us on the third day of this workshop. Let's begin today's program with great energy and curiosity. Wishing you all a fruitful day of learning and interaction. Now, I want to introduce our resource person, Professor Vasanthi Rana William is a senior academician with over 3 decades of experience actively involved in administration, research, and education in the field of management studies, presently serving at Vidya Vikas Institute of Engineering and Technology, Mysore, Karnataka, State, India. The topic is principle and application of sampling techniques, strategies, and methods of sample size determination. Thank you. Over, over to you, madam.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your kind words. A very good evening to everyone from India, and I wish you a fruitful journey towards your research activities. I without much ado, let me just go ahead. This are the contents for today's session. Strategies. This is the topic given. Strategies and methods for sample size determination. And what we will be understanding today is how do we determine the sample size for our study, the key factors influencing sample size calculation for a single population proportion, sample size calculation for a single population mean, and the alternative methods and practical considerations, and then finally a gist of the whole thing, that is a step-by-step strategy for sample size determination. And then I'm also sharing with you a few of the tools and AI tools and resources which can help you take your research forward. Please let me know if you have any doubts. You can always stop me and ask, get your doubts clarified. Now, as you can all see on your screen, first let us understand what is sample size for those who are very new, to very young to research, very new to research. Every time you do research, everything we do is a research. In fact, if I want to, take a flight from India to say Malaysia, I do a research, whether knowingly or unknowingly, because I would have gone through the list of all the flights available from India, the timings, the cost charges, etc., and then only finally make a decision on the right choice for me. So that is, we are doing research. Now, I'll give you another instance now, so you understand how important research is. I'm now going to the second aspect of research, that is sample size. Now, I said I want to travel from India to Malaysia. Maybe I use the search engine platform, and I ask Google to help me out, and I get a list on my screen. Now, would I just look into the first one, or would you, if you were in my place, just look into the first one and then decide on the cost, everything based on the first advertisement or the first caption that you see? Obviously, no. We would start looking for at least 4 or 5 options. These 4 are out of maybe 100, or maybe out of 50, maybe out of 10, at least 5. So these 5 that I have chosen out of the whole of 20 or 30 or the n number of information that Google has shared with me is the sample that I have chosen. Okay, this is in simple terms. As you can see, I'll just move the mouse around. You can see this. This is the population. And I'm not going to choose everybody. It is difficult for me to choose everybody and just check out. So what I'll do is I'll pick out a few and that becomes my sample. Okay. Now, so I hope you understand what is sample. Now, taking this forward, we need to understand that we have to choose the right sample. Correct. And this right sample meaning, I'm not touching upon the second aspect. I'm just touching upon what should be the number of sample that we consider is important or required for us to ensure that the research that we are conducting is going to give us fruitful results. So this is basically what we'll be focusing on this 1 hour. So as you can understand, and I've shared the same thing so that, I just didn't put it in bullet points because maybe when it is shared with you, you can at least, recollect after reading the points. So usually, when you put a PPT, it has to be just bullet points, but then just to ensure it assists or it is of help, I've added this. So what's a sample? It's a representation of a population. I'll give you one more example. Now, if I'm cooking rice and I want to see if the rice is cooked, I'm not going to touch each and every grain in the vessel to check and see whether the rice is cooked. I'll take a ladle, I'll take a little bit of the cooked rice, and then I might, from that ladle, I might just feel 2 or 3 grains to see whether it is cooked thoroughly or not. And that will give me a total information that the pot of rice that I kept for cooking is ready. This, spoon or the ladle of rice that I have taken from that whole vessel is the sample. So if I consider this as the bowl of rice that is cooking, and this is the spoon or the ladle which I've used to pick the rice, then this is my sample. This is representing the rice, or this is representing the sample size that I require. Again, I'm asking you another question for you to recollect. Say supposing there are 50 students in a class and we plan for a vacation, a short trip. Now I need to know, there are 2 places which we plan to go from the institution. One is place A and the other one is place B. I said there are 50 students in my class. Now, in this, out of these 50, I need to know, by choosing a place which I like might not be the place which my students might like, right? So I need to find out a place which is liked by the students, because the reason for arranging the trip is to keep them happy or to give them a a break from their regular routine. So I have this place A and place B. What I would do, or what you would do, is you will call in a few students and ask them which place they like to go. And so when you get a majority, choosing a particular spot, that is either place A or place B, whichever gets the majority, that's the place you're going to go. So out of these 50, how many students do you think you need to ask? Can you please share it on this in the chat, please? How many students you would like to, is it necessary to ask all the 50?
No, 25 to 49 will be fine.
Exactly. Right. So why not 10? Why not 5? Why not 10?
Because it don't include all the population.
Exactly. Yeah, you're very right. So if you ask very few, say supposing I asked only 10, and unfortunately if all the 10 never liked place A, and those 10 choose place B, and if I say, okay, out of the 50 I've asked the 10 students, and that's sufficient, probably the rest 40 may not like place B at all, and so the whole exercise becomes a waste. Nobody will enjoy the trip, the efforts, the money, nothing. So therefore, for every research, what we require is data. So what I collected from students, the yes or no, they like or dislike, is the data that I'm collecting to help me make a decision. And as you rightly mentioned, I'm taking around 30-35 students, responses from 30-35 students, not necessary to have all the 50. I'm taking responses from the 30-35 students because, sorry, that gives me a sufficient picture to understand whether the choice of place that I need to go is useful or not, is going to be useful or not. So the yes or no that I collected is the data. So I need sufficient data to make, as we understand, we need sufficient data to analyze that and come to a right conclusion. And for this we require a sample. Now, if I have to, I just said 50 students. So even if you want to collect information from 50 students, is not going to be maybe a little more hectic, but then otherwise you still can do. But if it's an organization where there are 300 employees, can you meet all the 300 employees? It is difficult. See, I see that my screen is unstable, internet is unstable. I'm muting my video. Okay. So what we understand is therefore, meeting around 300 employees will be a little challenging. So what do I do? I choose maybe 150 or 170 of the employees. I collect their information, and that data I use to analyze and do my study. So, but then I should know whether it is 175 or 150 or 200. I know that I don't have to collect information from all the 300, but I should know something that I'm justified with, which justifies my study. What if someone asks me, on what basis did you choose only 50 people, or on what basis did you choose 150 people? I should have some justification, right? When we are talking about research, we are doing something on a very scientific basis. There is something that we follow, a procedure that we follow. Only when you follow a protocol, a procedure, that is when you are able to get the right kind of answer. And hence, it is very important for us to know the sample size. Sample is important. That's a different aspect, which I think in these 10 days, you will definitely, by the end of the 10 days, you will understand. I'm only focusing on the sample size. How many number of people should you select, and on what basis? That is, how do you determine that? That is the objective of this session today. So you need to have a significant sample. That is what we understand. I hope I'm clear. I'm going to the next slide now. Sorry. Yeah. What are the key factors that influence a sample size? How does it influence you to choose 50 or 300 or 800 or 1000? How does it influence you? These are the key factors. So you can make a note of it. If you have a doubt, you can always stop me, please. One is the population size. Now, supposing I want to do a survey on the employees in a bank, or that will be, maybe there are 10 people in a bank. That is easy for me, so it's not a problem. But if I want to do a study on the consumers or the customers of a bank, bank customers, okay, So they may be having 1,000 customers or maybe 5,000 customers. Okay, I'm not talking about, say, State Bank of India, the main branch. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about somewhere in your city, one branch in the city. So supposing I need to get the responses, collect responses from customers of a particular bank to know how well the services are being provided and so on and so forth, so that we can improvise on the services to find out what the customers are actually looking for, so that we can include that in our services and make our bank much better. Okay, provide better services to our customers. So supposing there are 1,000 customers, bank customers, or if there are say 5,000 customers, bank customers, that is the population size. Okay, the population size is the total number of respondents who are eligible, or whom I feel are eligible for me to collect data. So that is the meaning of population size. See, I've mentioned the total number of individuals in the group identified for the study. So I've identified a study, that is to get a feedback, collect feedback from customers of a particular bank, of a particular branch. And I understand that there are 1,000 people there, or 5,000 people, customers. So a larger population may require a larger sample. Why? If it is 1,000 people, I can't go with 50 people, I can't go with 30. I'll have to go with a larger sample so that I can get proper results. The second aspect that you have to keep in mind, okay, do you have to keep in mind when you have to identify sample size? One is the population size. So again, there are two aspects. One is I know the number because it's a bank. I speak to the bank manager. He tells me we have 5,000 customers. So I know the number, population size is known to me. Secondly, there can be something like population in one city that may not be known to me at all. Or people who are using online platform for purchasing goods. This is unlimited. So I don't have a specific size for that. So these are these two methods which you have to identify based on the study that you're doing. One is identifying the population size. One is you know the number. The other one is you don't know, it's infinity. Second point that you need to keep in mind, factor, is the confidence level. What's a confidence level? That is, how accurate do you think your study is going to be? Is it going to be 90% accurate, 95% accurate, 99% accurate? Okay, so this is how accurate you think you want your study to be. Usually, everybody, generally it is 95%. Okay, it's not that you should not take higher, but generally, if nothing is mentioned, you can, 95 is a very safe confidence level that you can choose. 95% means if you do conduct this test in different places. Now, supposing I took the example of a bank, branch of a bank. Now, if I do this study, conduct the same study in different other places of the same branch, I feel 95%, 95 times out of 100, 95 times if I conduct the same test, that is, I do a test in place A, then again I do a test in place B, place C, place D, like that. If I do it 100 times, different places, 95 times it's going to give me the same answer. 5% it might vary. That is the meaning. If it is 99%, it means that it is much higher. My confidence level is very high. It says that is 99% is going to be accurate. Maybe 1% it might falter. I hope I'm making myself clear. So one is the population size. Second is the level of confidence. Third is the margin of error. So it's also part of the confidence level only, but we call it as confidence interval. We call it as plus or minus 5%, plus or minus 3%. Okay. And the last one is the standard deviation. So it is how spread out your data can be. Now, for those who are not having background of statistics, you might find it a little confusing. So don't worry about that. You can focus more about the population size and the confidence level. Okay. Now, I'm going further on. I'm showing you some mathematical calculations, a statistical calculation. So before this, whatever I told you, I'm showing it to you in this diagrammatic image. And this is the source of the image, and this has been shared. So if you want to go through more of this, you can always check this out. Okay, so that's the source from where I took this snap. So the sample size calculation, as I said, what was the first one? Population size, then the margin of error, plus or minus, confidence level, and the degree of variability. So you can look into these 2 points more. This is what will give you the answer for these two. Okay, so you just focus on this. This is for those who are not much into statistics and all that. But it's not that you have to do everything. We have a lot of AI tools. We have a lot of facilities which can help you get your answer through. But it is important for us to be able to distinguish or identify or read the answer. So hence I'm making it a little more elaborate, because we should know the background well, and only then we can understand the concept. Now, as I told you, so I hope you understood what we are focusing on. Now, the most common formula that we use for a single population, that is unknown population. I said we want to do a study in, I said I'm from Mysore city. So people in Mysore who are using online platform for making their purchase. So they prefer online shopping. So here the population is unknown, right? Huge number. So it's unknown. In such cases, this is the formula that we use. That is z square into p into 1 minus p divided by e square. So this is the formula. And what is z? It's a z score. And how do you get this value for z? See, I told you earlier, we are talking about 90% confidence, 95% confidence, and 99% confidence. So I said, usually, if nothing is there mentioned, you can always, this is a safe thing, going for 95% confidence. So the value of Z, is not calculated by me. You have a table value, which is already there. And based on the table value, the confidence level at 95% is 1.96. So let me take you further. I can go back to it anytime. So anytime you have you're finding it difficult or something, let me know. So now this is the formula, Z square into P. You can see that here. This is in green. I've highlighted it in green. P is the estimated proportion of the population. So if it is unknown, because I said when you're using this formula, it is usually unknown. Mysore, population in Mysore, population in Calcutta, population in Hyderabad. So if it is unknown, use 0.5 for a conservative estimate. So that yields a sample size of 1.96. How did I get 1.96? 1.96 is the table value. Okay. Now margin of error, it is taken as a decimal. And example, I put it here. To be 95% confident, that is the true proportion, is within plus or minus 5. So 95%, percent means out of 100, right? So I feel I'm confident 95%. That means 5% I'm not very confident. That is the margin of error. It might, fluctuate between 5, between that particular 5%, which I'm not very sure of. 95% I'm very sure. 5% it might, be a little here and there. That is the meaning. So now if I am to, simplify the equation, you can see here, I've highlighted it, Z square, and you can see the formula. I'm highlighting it here again. You can see the formula highlighted. It is 1.962, that is the value of Z, into 0.5 whole, you open this bracket, 1 minus P. So what is P? That is the estimated proportion of the population, that is 1 minus 0.5 divided by E square. So what is this E square? That is the margin of error. And when you simplify this, you will get this sample required, that is 385. So if I have an unlimited population, if I'm doing a study in Mysore to identify how many people in Mysore, residents of Mysore, prefer to use online shopping, what is the number of respondents I need to collect? That is the sample size. It has to be 385. Now again, going back, I just showed you this formula. Don't get worried or scared. You can do this using the internet very easily. Okay, so don't worry. You can always check out. You can, put in the numbers and it will calculate and give you the answer. But this is something which you can, blindly go ahead. If it is a unknown population, the sample size should be 385. Now coming to, just a minute, the power is going off. Okay. Now you can see this. This is a second formula. Sorry. The second formula, okay, it's also called as the Sloven's formula. This is again another tool, but here I know that there is a specific population size. Like I said, you're doing a study in a company or in an organization where you know the number of employees there, or you know the number of respondents whom you can meet there. So the total number of employees of that company is 300. And how many do you have to collect? In the first example, that is the first formula which I showed, here the population is unknown. Unknown means there is so many people you do not know how many can be there. So in a place like Mysore, there may be 3 lakh, 4 lakh. But then if you take more, it is always better. You're taking an area, right? You're not going to the whole of Mysore city. You're taking an area. So in that case, 385 is quite sufficient. In the second case, here the number of population size is known to you. That is, like I said, a company, and there are 500 people working there, 1,000 people working there, 300 people working there. In such cases, you need to know what is your sample size. What should be your sample size? In such a case, you're using this formula. N is equal to n minus 1 plus ne squared. This is the formula that you use. Now, the reason why, and I also told you that AI is very much easily available, and you can use, the internet platforms to help you calculate. But then it is important for you to know which one, because AI will not cannot use logic. You have to tell AI what you want, whether you can tell them that tell the AI that the population is unknown and to calculate, or the population is known. You have so much of population and you want to know what is the accurate sample size that you need to identify for your study. So that is the reason why I am elaborating and telling you about the difference. So the first one, the previous one, was for an unknown sample, and the second is for a known sample. That is, how many respondents are there. See, this is the formula for that. I have simplified it. So when you simplify it, the number is 285.71. It is more than 5, so it is rounded to 286. So if I have 1,000 employees in the organization, the minimum number of respondents that I have to collect responses from, to collect data, because without data I cannot do research. So to collect the data from 1,000 employees, I don't have to go and meet all the 1,000. If I meet a minimum of 286, that is sufficient. I can take more than 286, no problem, but I need at least 286. Whereas in the previous one, I needed 385, minimum 385. I can take that forward. I can always take. So supposing if I know there are, 1 lakh people in Mysore, 385 might not be sufficient, but I need minimum of 385. I can go above. I can go to even 1,000. Because there are 3 lakh people, I can go to 1,000. That is also fine. But what happens is, the answers that you get will be the same. So minimum 385 here in an unknown population, and in a known population. What is known population? I already know the total number of respondents in that place. I want to meet the teachers in an institution to collect their information about stress levels. So I know in that institution there are 100 employees. Then all those 100 employees are the population. So in that case, I'm using this Slovin's formula, and I'm using this. So instead of 1,000, I mention 100 and then do the calculation, and I get the answer for that. I hope I'm making myself clear. Now, sample size calculation for a single population proportion. So based on the nature of the research, we use, as I just explained just now, the Slovin's formula or the Z-test, right? Now, usually, very generally, the Z-test is very commonly used, more popular than the Slovin formula. Slovin formula, as I said, is used usually for research where we are doing social research, when you are focusing on social sciences like law, social sciences like management studies, psychology, sociology, economics. These all usually use the Z-test because that is more widely used, because usually the number of population is huge. Whereas it doesn't mean that you don't use the Slovin formula. If I'm doing a study on a company or an identified population, in such a case, I use the Slovin formula, where the second formula that I showed you. Now, coming to the step-by-step strategy for sample size determination. Firstly, you need to define your research goal. Goal is the objective of your study. That is, what are you trying to answer through your study? What is it that you want? Why are you doing your study? Identify why you want to do that study. What is the objective of doing the study? So maybe the study is to know, like earlier I gave an example, how many people in Mysore city prefer to use online platform. So I may want to know that the answer, because if I feel that there are lots of people using the online platform, then probably they will all have an internet connectivity, and that will help me know whether which media I should use to promote my product or service. It will help me know that. Secondly, I'll know through which platform I need to sell, because if majority of the people, like I see now, the present trend is to buy everything online, groceries. Very few people find it convenient to go to the brick and mortar store and buy their produce, to buy groceries for simple things. Like, for example, we have the milk basket, you have Blinkit. All these people, companies are able to provide you anything at any point in time. So you feel it is much more convenient. And another funny thing is, and that the fact as well, because if I go to the shop, I want to buy maybe 1 kilo of sugar, but if I go to the shop, I end up buying sugar along with a packet of biscuit, a packet of chips, and then something else that I see in the shop, I end up picking up so many things. But if I'm buying something online, I just order that and that comes to my home. So I feel it saves me time, it saves me my efforts and also the resources. Many people find that is easier. Secondly, there are also people who feel that time is money, and you can spend quality time with your family and you can get these things. Though I spend a little bit more, that is okay, but I'm still able to finish multitask most of my work because of these online platforms. Now when I do this study, I get to know, this study meaning I want to know how many people in Mysore are preferring online. That will help me. If I am a marketer, it tells me what platform I can use to promote my product. So I need not keep too many things in the shop. I can start doing a push marketing through online platforms. So I can use the digital media to help me do that. So maybe define your research goal. What is your research goal? What is it that you are? Identify that. Secondly, identify the key parameters. That is, what is your, I showed you initially, I'll just go back to those slides. I spoke about population size and the confidence level. I said focus more on that. So your population size, what should be your population size, and your level of confidence, whether it's going to be 95%, 90%, 99%. Okay, so you're going to identify that. Identify your key parameters. Yeah, I can see Arushi, you have raised your hands. Yes, madam. Do you have any question?
Yeah, ma'am, I have one question. Arushi is my
Yeah.
daughter's name.
Yeah,
Actually, the
please.
question is, you told me that you're explaining sampling, correct, from the population. But if
Yes.
can I use the whole population if I have the data rather than going for samples?
It is
Let
not,
in my
yeah, you
research.
can. Yes, yes. Like I told you, of the first example that I mentioned, say supposing there are 50 students in a class and the minimum at least 35 is required. If you feel that you can meet all the 50, there's no problem. You can go. The thing is, you're wasting your time because 35 is sufficient for you to get the right answer. That is the meaning. That is the objective. But if you feel satisfied that by meeting all the 50, I feel confident enough, yeah, you can go ahead. That's not a problem at all.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome, sir. So your but just ensure to know the key parameter, the key parameters. That is, at what level of confidence you would want. So whether it is 5% or that is 95%, or you're giving a margin of 10%, or you want it at 99%. That way. Usually for social sciences, 95 is quite sufficient. But when you're doing something like basic sciences and all, they prefer 99% and all, because they have experiments and all that, so it is not up to 80 and 90 and all is not considered suitable for them. They go for a higher percentage. But for social sciences, 95 is a very good limit. Your parameter is quite sufficient.
No, so how do we decide this limit? Like, it's a like my if I'm doing some research, how do I know whether it is 99 or 95 or 85 is fine?
See, that is what I said. When I say, supposing out of 100, if I am okay, let me say give you an example, so probably you will understand that better. Now if I want to buy since you're a male, you want to buy a shirt. If you go to a shop, would you go to a shop which shows you only one shirt? Obviously no, right? Because you're paying for it, you will want to get something. You would like to look at options, you would like to look at the number of the different cost all that together, and then based on that you're going to make a choice. Okay, I've not come to the actual meaning, I'm just touching up so that you understand the concept better. So now when I go to a shop and I immediately buy a shirt, later on I might feel, I should have spent, maybe if I find that it was not fitting me well, or somebody says the color is not suiting me, I might feel, guilty. I should have waited. I should have looked for 2 more shops and then made a purchase. If I look for 8 or 9 shirts and then choose one, I feel confident that, yeah, this is the best choice I've made, maybe based on the quality, or what is my objective, quality, or maybe the look, or maybe the cost, whatever, that is my objective. That is what I mentioned as a research goal. So based on that, I feel satisfied. So now coming to your actual answer, I hope I'm touching up on the basics just to make you understand. So if I have a 9 out of 100, if I just have 10%, accuracy, do you think my study is good? No. If it is 50% accurate, it is like 50-50. It is maybe good, may not be good. But if it is 95% good, means what? Out of 100 times, 95% is giving me the right answer, giving me the same answer. 5% I'm giving the margin of error. If I keep it as 99%, then I'm giving the margin of error as 1%. That means my study is accurate up to 99%. So it is you who will decide what percentage of satisfaction you want in your study. Whether you want to keep it at 90%, whether you want to keep it at 50%, then the study is of no use. Whether you want to keep it at 80%, when you have an option to keep it at 95%, so that you're putting the efforts, you're so sure that the outcome of your study is 99% accurate, then you're taking it as 99%. So how do you take 99%? You have a table value. Okay, you have a table that is already there, and you take the table value at 5%. If it is 95%, you take it as 0.5. If it is 90%, you go to 10. If it is 99%, you go to 0.01. 0.01. I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you very much, ma'am. You can
Yeah.
continue.
Yeah. So that is how you choose. Okay. Then next is step-by-step strategy for sample size determination. How do you determine? You calculate the sample size. That is, use any formula, like I told you. Any formula, meaning the first formula is for identifying the number of respondents based on a population which is unknown. Like I said, a city, a place, an area. Okay, so there you do not know the number of sample, it can be more. So in such case, I told you the minimum number that is required. You can go more than that, but not less than that. That's the meaning. Or you can choose the second formula, where the Sloven's formula, the first one is the Z-test, the second one is the Sloven's formula. Sloven's formula, where you know the number of respondents. Like I said, a company, you know that there are 300 employees. So out of that, the minimum number that you need to choose for your sample size. See, let me also mention here at this point that if you take less than the minimum number which I showed you, which is calculated and shown, then the study is not considered to be accurate. So when you're making a presentation in front of your research guide or the panel, they will definitely ask you the question that on what basis did you choose this sample size. So if you have this justification, it helps. Okay. So calculate the sample size. That is, you can use the chosen formula based on your study. Secondly, you need to make adjustments according to the requirements of the study. What are the requirements? That is anticipated. See, please be attentive here. Anticipated non-response rate. So that is, now supposing you calculated and you found out that you need to get a minimum of 300 respondents. Okay. You want to know that you require a minimum of 300 respondents. This is the calculation. You have done a calculation, whether it is z-test or whether it is Sloven's formula, whatever. Okay, you have found out, you have calculated and you found out the number is 300 respondents. That means you need a minimum of 300 respondents, not less than that. You can get more, you can take 500 also, but not less than 300. Now, out of this 300 members, it doesn't mean that the moment you go and meet all the 300, first, second, third, fourth, it is not necessary. If you're lucky, fine, but otherwise it is not necessary that the moment you meet the first, second, third, fourth, or come to the 300th person, all of them are going to respond. Some of them might respond half of the questionnaire, the rest half is not answered. The whole questionnaire has to be rejected. So to
Ma'am?
get, yes, please.
I have a question. Like you're telling we have to speculate. If at all, you have to keep the margin like out of 300, if only 200 people respond, then you
Yeah.
have to aim at 400. How can you speculate without, interacting with them that only so many
I'm
people
coming
are
to
going
that.
to respond?
I'm explaining that. I'm explaining. Please
Okay.
give me
Yeah.
some time.
Yeah.
So you need 300 respondents, right? Now, can I give you an example? Now, supposing you are stitching a dress, okay? You give it to the tailor. Will you keep it exactly fitting, or will you ask the tailor to keep a little bit of cloth at the sides, so that in case you put on weight, or if the cloth shrinks, you can still wear the outfit? You will be doing it, right? You will give a little bit of
Space.
lineage.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is exactly the answer. So if I need 300, what if, see, can you keep going out when you start collecting questions, or you're collecting responses? I understand that you have not done this before, so that is why you're having this. It's a good question that you've asked. When you start collecting data, that is when you'll realize that out of these 300, only 200 would have answered. So if you go and meet 400, you will get the 300. That is what I'm trying to explain.
So that means to say it is ideal, if at all you have to keep margin, if at all actually needed is so much, but it is always better to have more,
Yes,
over and
a few
above that.
more. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Because you cannot, your sample should not go below the number that you have calculated from the formula. Using the formula, you get a number, right? Now, I gave this example of 300. Now, according to, I'll just go back to the previous slide. See, now in this slide, it is 385 using the z-test. So my sample size should not be less than 385. So now supposing I collect correctly 385 and then I come and start analyzing. When I sit and analyze, I understand that there is only 200 who have given correct answer, or 380 who have given correct answer. Then I have to look for another 5 more. So what is safe? It is always safe, because when you're doing research, you can't, when you start the analysis, you'll have to do it all over again from the beginning. So it's better you have everything in hand and then you start working on that. See, it's simple as when you're cooking, you don't keep exactly what you want. You always have something extra, isn't it? It is something like that. It is exactly something like that. I hope I'm answering your question.
Yeah, I am with you. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. There's another person who has raised their hands. Miss Mani Sharda, madam. Yes, please
Yes,
tell
ma'am.
me. Yeah.
Good evening, ma'am.
Very
Ma'am,
good evening.
my topic is empirical analysis of mural paintings with special reference to Himachal Pradesh.
Okay.
So, ma'am, what should be the
Interesting.
size of? Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, what should be the size of sample? Like my is empirical study.
Yeah, if you're doing your empirical study, see
Yes, ma'am.
again, how many first of all, you would have done enough of literature review?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, how much of literature review have you completed? May I ask?
Ma'am, 40.
No, that may not be sufficient. You need
Okay,
to
ma'am.
go ahead a
Okay,
little
ma'am.
bit more. So when
Okay,
you
ma'am.
do a thorough review of literature, that itself will give you
Yes, ma'am.
an understanding of how much of responses you need to take up. And then
Okay,
you are
ma'am.
doing something on mural. So
Yes, ma'am.
you have to identify, are you doing it on the artisans? From the artisans? Are
Yes,
you
ma'am.
meeting the
Ye-
artisans?
Yes, ma'am.
So,
Yes, ma'am.
so then you have to identify in Himachal Pradesh, if there is a
Yes, ma'am.
lot of artisans, then you do the Z test.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. So
Yes,
it'll
ma'am.
be around 384 or 85, what I mentioned. That will be the
Yes.
minimum number that you need to take.
Okay, ma'am. Okay,
Okay,
ma'am.
because it is, you said Himachal Pradesh, that whole
Yes,
place.
ma'am.
That okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So, so they will definitely be more than, if there are a lot of people who are, artisans
Yes, ma'am.
who are
Yes, ma'am.
working on mural art.
Murals.
In
Yes, ma'am.
such case,
Yes,
then you would
yes, ma'am.
require minimum of
Okay.
385, but not
Yes,
less
ma'am.
than that. You will have to do something more. So to get
Okay,
the
ma'am.
responses, you will have to take a little bit more, so that when you start doing
Yes,
the
ma'am.
analysis, you will not
Yes,
have a
ma'am.
problem with the, you don't have
Okay.
to start all
Thank
over
you.
again.
Yes,
It is
ma'am.
something
Okay.
like
Thank.
you start cooking for
Yes, ma'am.
for 4 people. You say
Yes,
4
ma'am.
people and you cook only for 2, and then again you will have to
Yeah.
start cooking again for another 3 more people, right? So
Yes, ma'am.
instead,
Yeah.
if you cook for say 6
Hmm.
people, even if the 5
Hmm.
people eat extra, there's not going to be
Yes,
a
ma'am.
problem, correct?
Yeah, ma'am. Correct,
Yeah,
ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am.
it's simply
Yeah.
something like that. Okay.
Understood, ma'am.
I
Yeah.
hope I answered your question.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. So one is anticipated non-response rate. That is something. These are cautions that I'm sharing with you. One is the anticipated non-response. Another thing we have to remember is, in case your questionnaire is not answered, even one question is not answered, the whole questionnaire is rejected. You have to take up the other one. You have to reject that and then choose the second one. So that you need to be careful. It's also very important that how you frame your questionnaire. That is also important. Anyways, we are focusing only on the sample size. Second one is the attrition. Attrition meaning, in case of a longitudinal study. What's a longitudinal study? A study which I'm doing over a period of time. Like, I'm doing a study on children consuming a particular, say maybe Chyawanprash or something, and how it's affecting them. So I do a study when they are 6 months old, then again when they are 1 year old, then again 1.5 year old, then when they are 2 years old, and 3, and so on. This type of a study is called a longitudinal study. So if I'm doing a longitudinal study, if I need around 100 people for the longitudinal study, there again I have to take more than the limited number, because in between there are chances of many dropping out. They may be shifting to another place, they may be getting transferred, and the family is going out. So longitudinal study also requires attrition rate will be there, so you have to take a little bit more. And the third important point, that is, these are all the points to be, we need to keep in mind, is the budget and resources. So I've mentioned here, calculated sample size may be statistically correct, but it is essential to consider what is practical and what is feasible. So if you have say 5,000 people, and if you're taking 358, you might feel, why not take 500? That is feasible, that is better. Okay, you can take it in that way as well. So these are the points that you need to keep in mind, please. So I see Dr. Aparna and someone else has raised their hand. I can't see the other person's name on my screen. Yeah, please.
Hello, ma'am.
Hello, please tell me.
Yes, I have my population size is 581.
Okay.
So, what will be my sample size?
If it is 500, then you're using the Sloven's formula, because you already know that your total population is known.
Okay,
You already know that there are 500 people.
580. Okay, 81.
That's what you told me, right? So in
Yes.
such a case, you take just a minute. I'm not able to, there's some internet problem here. I think I need not go back to that formula. The n formula, n divided by n, I'll just go back to that. Yeah, I can see that now. See, this is the formula because you're using the Slovin's formula because you see here, I gave an example of n is equal to 1000. But in your
Okay.
case, n is equal to 500. So use 500 here, okay, in the formula. 500 divided by 1 plus 500 into 0.5. I took 0.05 because I've given the margin of error as plus or minus 5. That is 95%. Okay, so you can use this formula. So, roughly it will be half of 286. Or if you put it
Okay.
as, put it as 300, you would require about 150, around 150.
Okay, so do we need to take the exact answer, or can we do a little more
Yeah,
than
that
the
is what
given?
yes, you can always. Don't take less. That's the border. That's the meaning.
Okay, okay, okay.
You should
More,
not take
okay,
less, but you can take more. See,
okay,
that is
okay.
what I mentioned in the slide here. I'm reading it out because, the slides will be shared with you as well. So you can see here, right? See?
Okay, yeah. Maybe
Okay.
status, okay, but it's
Yes,
searchable.
you
What
can
is that?
always take something extra, but not if you feel it is feasible. Why not take another? See, now when again you said 500 people are the respondents for your study, and as per the calculation, it is around 150. As I mentioned here, anticipated non-response rate. There is no guarantee that all the 150 you meet are going to respond.
Yes.
So take a little extra. So maybe 175 or something like that. So at least by the time you finish, you'll make sure that you'll have 150, at least minimum 150.
Okay.
As I said, if the questionnaire is not filled, if it is not answered, then you have to reject it. So it's always better
Okay.
to collect a little bit more.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Ma'am,
Yeah.
I had a doubt. Ma'am,
Yeah,
like
please.
using the formula, we have to decide the sample size. So what
Yes.
is the role of literature review, doing too much literature review in the sample size?
See, when you do a literature review, it tells you what other researchers have done, what are the challenges they have faced, and what is the right method. It will give you a lot of inputs. It will also help you to identify the objective of your study. So that will help you to identify what kind of respondents you require. And
Okay.
that in turn will help you to know what is your sample size. That is what I meant.
Okay, ma'am. So it's not about the latest, what the latest sample size they used in the same, not like that, right?
No. See now, if I see now somebody has done a study. Right now, I'm just talking about an example of one of the one of the participants. One participant mentioned that she's doing a study on mural artisans in Himachal Pradesh. Okay. Now, supposing you're doing a mural study on participants in Tamil Nadu, maybe the number there may be very few.
Yeah.
In Himachal, there may be 1,000 people. So if she has done a study in Himachal Pradesh with a sample size of 1,000, and you are doing a study in Tamil Nadu or Kerala with a sample size of maybe 50 or 100, the difference is there because your area is like that, where you have very few people working on mural art. Whereas in Himachal, there are more number of people. So sample size will differ according to the place. That's what I said. If it is a place where you already know, see, there are areas in India where we have different kind of artisans.
Yeah.
In Mysore, near Mysore, there's a place where the whole village, they focus on weaving.
Oh, yeah.
So there are only weavers there. So in such a case, I have to use the Z test.
Okay.
Whereas if I'm doing a study in some XYZ company, textile company, in such a case, I know that the weavers who are using the weaving machine there are 50 in number. So I know the number is fixed.
Yes.
So I'm using the second test.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. There's someone else also. Mr. N. Parthar Moyon. I hope I'm not pronouncing it wrong. You have raised your hands?
Yes, I have already this one. I have already asked you, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you.
Fine. Oh,
Ma'am,
welcome.
excuse me.
Yes.
This is
Ma'am,
Vasanti, ma'am.
I also had a question, ma'am. I'm
Yeah.
Apurva.
Yeah.
I work in an NGO and we want to do a pilot study
Yes. Good.
for a new digital learning course that we have made. So it's going to be an online course, and
Okay.
we want to do a pilot. So
Yeah.
how do we calculate the sample? Because we don't know the population. It's going to be teachers in India, so it's
Yeah.
thousands and
That's why
thousands.
when you don't know,
So
when you don't know,
385.
you're using the Z test.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. So
Oh,
385
yeah.
will be a good enough sample.
Yes.
Okay.
Definitely. And
Thank
then
you.
later on, when you're doing the actual test, you can raise the number. This
Yes.
is quite sufficient for a pilot test. This is quite sufficient.
Okay. Thank you.
Not less than that. That's the border.
Okay.
And the last one are the tools and the resources. So you have this you can see these are, when I mentioned this as smart, because it is you can use artificial intelligence for that. Now, so Qualtrics and SurveyMonkey, these are help you to identify the sample size calculations, and it's very user friendly. They also give explanations on why this is taken, and at least the people who are not very familiar with statistics and all, you can get answers that way. So I think that is helpful. And GPower is also good. This is a free software, and this was also helps you for analyzing and also for sample size calculation. So this ends my session. These are the references that I've used. Again, this is also shared with all. Yeah, I can see Mr. Akhil Pradeep. You
Hello,
have
ma'am.
a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Actually, I have a different question.
Yeah.
So, actually, if we are using the simple random sampling in sampling set, that there is still possibility of sampling error, right? Because if the lottery method happens to select the individuals, like with similar characteristics, could that lead to the sample not fully representing the population? How can we like usually address this?
You're talking about random sampling, right?
Yes, ma'am. Even if
Yes,
that also,
random sampling. See, generally, to make it easy, because everybody, when you're doing a study, we always have this problem to know whether the number of sample that we have chosen is correct, the number that we have chosen is right. So that is the reason, to make it easy, we have these two formulas. If it is a study, just like one of the participants mentioned, they want to know whether it's a course online. They want to know whether the online course is going to be feasible or not all over India. So here the sample is a huge population, right? So in such a case, the Z test, that is the first one, is the right one. So minimum, she's doing a pilot study, so a minimum of 384 385 is sufficient. But to get that 384 85, she may be using the Google form to share, and it's not necessary that everybody is going to, you give it to exactly 384, not necessary that all those 384 correctly answer your question. So what you respond to your questionnaire. So what you're going to do is, you're sending it to around 500 people, you will definitely get at least 200. It's like that. When you start working on it, you'll get an idea. And I would always suggest, when you're doing a study, just like anything, especially for the PhD or something like that, try to work on a pilot study. That is really very helpful, because you get an understanding of whether your questionnaire is right. You also get to know whether you're getting the actual responses that you are looking for, and you'll also be able to identify the mindset of the respondents, because you'll know how difficult it is to get the respondents, your identified respondents, to respond. Even if it is random sampling, that means you have an option of getting more respondents. But still, it is very tough, very challenging to get answers. So you have to choose that way. If it is some responses that you are already aware of, that is the number you're already aware of, then you use the Slovin's formula, that is the N formula. I hope I've answered your question, please. Yeah, I think I answered
Hello,
your
ma'am.
question. Yeah, please.
Hello, ma'am. This is Uttam Lama, and ma'am, right now I'm working on border studies. So I want to conduct the survey nearby the border regions. It's
Okay.
nearby between the India and Bhutan. So,
Okay.
ma'am,
Okay.
we are one of my, senior suggested me to have the household survey at the particular region
Yeah.
using the systematic sample survey.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I have, through this Census of India 2011, I found that there is around 2,000 household. So
Okay.
how can use the systematic technique so that I can get the proper, so that I can cover the maximum sample.
See, you use the second formula. The
Okay.
second formula which I mentioned,
So
because you
first, I
know the
just want
number,
to ask,
because
the
you
ma'am,
know.
is it the systematic sampling is the correct one for conducting the household survey in the border region? Is it
See,
feasible or?
see, this is exactly what I was trying to say. When you are doing, the reason why this session is focusing on the sample size is to identify the see, research is systematic only. There is no unsystematic research. Research is systematic. Now, in the second formula, I suggested second formula because you already know that there are 2,000 families. You know the number.
Yes, ma'am.
So I took the example of 1,000 people. You use the formula and use 2,000. You will get the number. So that is the minimum number that you need to families that you need to meet.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
I think you
Thank you
have
so much.
another session. The second session.
Excuse me, ma'am. Good evening, ma'am.
Yeah, good evening.
My name is Trishala Gurung,
Yeah,
and I
please.
have a small question. Ma'am, could you
Yes,
please
please.
let me know what tools or software are most commonly used for sample size calculation? I mean, what is the thing that you would like to recommend?
See, you can. I told you about SurveyMonkey. I just showed you, and I think these slides will be shared with you all, so you can go
Okay.
through that. Other than that, you can always go to the platforms, the online platforms, and there are n number of options that you can get.
Yes, ma'am. Which is the one
Please
that
try.
you would
Please
like to
try. No,
recommend the
don't.
most?
I don't use AI usually. I
Oh,
work
okay. Yes,
manually.
ma'am.
So I just shared a few here. That is what is mentioned here. You can see it on your screen.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so
Yeah,
much, ma'am.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
ma'am.
Welcome, welcome. So shall I,
Hello. Ma'am,
Dr.
I have a
Bennett?
quick question. Hello, one small question, ma'am.
Yeah, please.
Say, if at all we want to do research on something which is coming up very new, say for
Yeah.
example, I want to do a research on the cryptocurrency
Yeah.
users in Bangalore. So if I take Bangalore total population,
yeah,
and the people who are using it is very less, then the size and the thing will not go hand in hand. In that case, do we have to take up that formula that
Yes.
population size not known?
Yes. How will you know who's using it? How many are using it? How are you going to get it? So probably you need to use snowball sampling.
Okay.
So
Yes.
okay,
So
thank
thank
you
you so
so
much,
much. I
ma'am.
do not know but if I'm eating up on the second speaker's time. I'm so sorry about that. Dr.
No,
Bennett,
ma'am,
are
no,
you
ma'am,
there?
no, ma'am, no, ma'am, no, ma'am. It's completely all right. Dr.
Okay.
Sabati Malik has some network issue. So right
Okay.
now she also joins now. Chalega, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Oh,
And
thank you
hope
so much, sir.
conversation, ma'am.
Thank you
And
very much,
without
madam,
taking
for
much,
giving an excellent
let me directly
talk,
hand over
madam.
the session to Sabati, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir.
Sabati
And
Malik, you can start, ma'am. Yes,
my
ma'am.
best wishes to everyone here. Thank you so
Yes,
much.
ma'am. Thank you,
Very
Thank
much,
you very
madam. Thank you. Dr. Sabati Malik, ma'am. Sabati Malik, ma'am, your mic is muted. Kindly unmute and you can start talking, ma'am.
PPT ପଠେଇଛି PPT ପଠେଇଛି PPT ତ ଆପଣଙ୍କୁ ଦେଇଛି ନା ଏଇଠି ମୁଁ ଡାଉନଲୋଡ୍ କଲି ଡାଉନଲୋଡ୍
Hello. Hello.
Yes, ma'am, you're audible.
Sir, I'm going to just start some technical issue. Just going to start.
Fine, चलेगा, कोई बात नहीं.
It's okay. Sir, thank you.
ଆପଣଙ୍କର ଏଇଟା ଦେଖେଇଲେ ତ ମତେ ଏଇଟା ଡାଉନଲୋଡଟା କୋଉଠି ଅଛି ଫାଇଲଟା କୋଉଠି ଅଛି
ଡାଉନଲୋଡ ଫାଇଲଟା ଦେଖନ୍ତୁ ମୁଁ ଆପଣଙ୍କୁ ଦେଲି ଆପଣ ସେଇଠି ପଠେଇକି କରିବେ
ମୁଁ ଡାଉନଲୋଡ କଲି କିନ୍ତୁ ମତେ ଜଣା ପଡୁନି
ଆଚ୍ଛା ନେଇକି ଆସିଥାନ୍ତୁ ପୁରା ଆମକୁ ଶୁଭୁଛି ସେଇଟା ନା
पता यार अब नहीं चल रहा है
ଆସିଲା
ଆପଣଙ୍କ ଏଇଟା ହେଲା ମୁଁ ପାଇପାରିବି
ଓ
Song is also not coming.
Dear participants, please wait some minutes. So she had network issues for that.
Yes, Sabati Malik, ma'am, we are able to see you. Now we can start your presentation, ma'am. No problem.
Study.
Good evening. Good evening. Good evening, sir, madam.
Good evening, ma'am.
I am Dr. Saibati Malik.
Madam,
I'm assistant professor of sociology.
Ma'am, kindly mute from one device. You go log into two devices, requesting you to any one device, ma'am.
Good evening, everyone. I am Dr. Saibati Malik.
Good evening, ma'am.
I am an assistant professor of sociology at Fakir Mohan Autonomous College, Baleswar. I'll discuss with you now the sampling techniques. In social sciences, sampling techniques are methods to select respondents from a target population to study. Actually, I have made it very simple, especially for, as there are so many research scholars are participating in this group. So for me, I'll start from, there are two types of surveys. One is sample survey and the other is census survey. In some census survey, all households are included. Whereas included, and the example is the population census, Government of India. But in case of sample survey, In social sciences, sampling techniques are methods to select respondents from target population to study. Sampling involves selection, the selection of household, individuals, or groups to study rather than covering all of them. When a small portion of the study universe is selected for study for the whole study area for the whole study universe, the process of selection is called sampling. That means instead of taking all household or interviewing all individuals, the researcher selects some of the samples, and these samples work as the representative of the study. And the person which is selected for study is the representative of the whole study area. And here I am to say that the process of selection, actually it depends on the researcher to select the right kind of sample so that the study can be a good one, good study without any personal bias. And again, samplings are two types. One is,
Excuse me, ma'am.
One is probability sampling and the other is,
Excuse me, ma'am.
yes,
Ma'am,
please.
your screen is not visible and we are not being able to see the
Non
PPT.
problem sampling, ma'am.
Oh, what you cannot listen to me?
Ma'am, your voice is clear, but your PPT is not there on the screen.
Oh, yes, I'll show my PPT, but you know, there is some technical problem. So I am going to show it later on. I have made PPT, but you know, I want to discuss.
Okay,
First
ma'am.
of all, I want to discuss.
Sure, ma'am.
Should I repeat again? There are two types of survey. One is sample survey and the other is census survey. In census survey, all households are included in the survey. In census survey, all households, individuals are included in the study. The example of census survey is the population census of Government of India. But in sample survey, sampling involves selection. In social sciences, sampling techniques are methods to select respondents from a target population to study. Sampling involves selection, the selection of few households, individuals, or groups to study rather than covering all of them. When some portion of the study is taken as the representative of the whole study universe, the process of selection is called sampling. That means instead of taking all household or interviewing all individuals, we can take some samples for study, and the selected samples are the representative of the whole study area. But the researcher has to be very careful about the proportion of samples to be selected that can provide good result about the study population. And again, the sampling techniques, the sampling is divided into two. One is probability sampling and the other is non-probability sampling. In probability sampling, first of all, that means in probability sampling, everyone has the chance of equal and immediate chance to be included in the sample. In probability sampling, we include the simple random sampling and stratified sampling. Simple random sampling, stratified sampling, multi-stage sampling, and this cluster sampling, systematic sampling. But in non-probability sampling, we have purposive sampling, snowball sampling, then quota sampling, convenience sampling. Start with this simple random sampling. It is a kind of probability sampling. It is a kind of probability sampling. In simple random sampling, the choose this sample where study population is homogeneous. That means there is similarity of occupation, lifestyle, culture exist among the study population. In this case, the researcher choose simple random sampling. That means in this sampling, each individual or household has an immediate and equal chance to be included in the sample. But in stratified sampling, when the study universe is diverse, that means there is multiple occupation or lifestyle, multiple occupation followed by the study population, or their lifestyle is different from each other, and their caste and class position differ. So in this case, stratified sampling is chosen. In stratified sampling, all samples, all the households, individuals are stratified or are divided into many stratas on the basis of class, like upper class, upper middle class, lower class, or lower middle class. And after dividing the whole universe or the study population into higher class, upper middle class, lower class, and lower middle class, lower class. So then they are interviewed or the samples are chosen. And in this case also, strata, each sample has an equal chance to be included in the study. Then cluster sampling. The population is divided into naturally random sample of cluster is selected to be studied. I mean, to study a country like India, it is divided into states and divided into different states. A company may be divided into departments. Then data can be collected. I'll repeat again. In cluster sampling, this is a process divided into naturally existed things. Like a country like India, it can be divided into states, and one state is chosen. Then a company can be divided into many departments, and one of such department is studied. Then systematic sampling. researcher selects member of a population at a fixed regular intervals from a list known as the sampling frame. It is an alternative to simple random sampling, provided list is the ordered randomly to avoid bias. The process involves randomly selecting a starting point and then taking every tenth as per the desired sample size. Then multi-stage sampling. Then multi-stage sampling. Final sample is selected going through different stages. It may involve one or two of the above sampling method. Sir, video देखो, video. Then we come to non-probability sampling. Non-probability sampling, there is no probability. The selection is based on the judgment of the researcher. Purposive or judgment sampling. In purposive sampling, the researcher has a purpose to select some samples. For example, in a village, in a tribal village, if the researcher wants to study the knowledge, idea, and practices of reproductive and child health among the tribal women, how knowledgeable are the tribal women and how do they practice the child birth, pregnancy, and postnatal period. So, in order to know their knowledge and practices, the researcher will select the women in reproductive stage. That means from the age group of 15 to 45. After locating this kind of a group of women who are in the age group between 15 to 45. So he or she, the researcher keeps on asking them about many questions, test their knowledge and to know their practices, like what kind of treatment they take during pregnancy and what kind of services are provided them as part of public health, and how does this Asha Didi and Anganwadi Didi, Anganwadi worker and accredited social health activists in the villages help them in providing knowledge, awareness, and health education relating to pregnancy and childbirth. Likewise, sampling is novel. That means the researcher with the help of the actually with the respondents with whom he had initiated the data collection. He first contact them and collect data from them, and with the help of the respondents, he later on locate the other people who can be included in sampling in the sample size. For example, if in London an Indian of Indians. He contacts some of the Indian NRI residents there. Then he keeps on asking them to locate the other people's residence, the other NRI Indians residents, and give their introduction. So in this process, the researcher come to know one after another other Indians who are living in London and who have also some issues there. So this is snowball sampling. And I give an example from my side. When I was collecting data for my postdoctorate research, like the social security of the tribal people of the Bhumis tribe during COVID-19 period. So first of all, I wanted to know how they were aware of and how did they come to know about Corona and how did they develop resiliences to save themselves. So I came to know that they came to know from the TV, from the television, and from the sarpanch, from the accredited social worker, social ASA, accredited social health activist, and the Anganwadi worker. But one of the ladies, she herself told that there are many women who are the residents of this tribal Bhumis village. They know better than them. So I eagerly went to them, to their households, and identified the new samples. That means the women who are more knowledgeable about the Corona pandemic, and they also suggested others how to get rid of Corona. So in this way, snowball sampling adds many numbers of more samples in the existing sample. Then quota sampling. Quota sampling is one of the non-probability sampling, one in which units are selected into a sample on the basis of pre-specified characteristics, so that the total sample has the same distribution of characteristics assumed to exist in the population being studied. I am now, actually I'm sorry for the problem I had, and now I can show the PPTs. Can you see, please? Can you? Sir, madam?
No, sir. No, ma'am. No.
Okay. Okay, it will be coming. Then we have convenient sampling. It is characterized by the selection of EG to obtain members from the population means whichever is present there, the researcher selects the samples to obtain members from the population. The respondents are selected based on easy availability and accessibility. It is useful to other sampling methods. Results from a convenient sampling is not used to generalize to a wider population. Now, I am going to conclude as a sample in any subset of population. As a sample is any subset of a population, so its size can be small or large. There is no concept right sample size to ensure good results. We want a sample that is the representative of the population. For the purpose of use of statistical techniques, a small sample size of 30 is reliable. And generally, we take 50 selection, and it depends on which kind, what is our purpose, whether it is a doctoral research, whether it is a research for the graduates, or for a research for the company, for the government, for the university, or any department of the university. So it again depends. Selection of sample technique is largely conditioned by the problem statement and broad objective of study. The researcher need to use appropriate sampling method that enable to generate the research evidence. No? Sorry, now I concluded this, but later on I'll show and discuss with you better. Because time is left, and I also expect questions. After showing you the PPT, we can discuss some questions.
Any from the participant side, any query from participant side? Dear
I'm so
participant,
sorry. Actually, I have made it so simple so that the participants, especially the research scholars, they can well understand and they can also read and write. But later on, if I won't be able to present the PPT now, I'll send it to you. Please note it down and please excuse me.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Please ask questions.
Excuse me, ma'am. Good evening. Ma'am, can you please explain snowball sampling once again? Your voice was breaking up, so I couldn't catch it.
What is it?
Ma'am, can you please explain snowball sampling once again?
Yes, actually it happens in snowball sampling. That means new samples are added in existing sampling. As the researcher feels so, because it can provide better output. In snowball sampling, new samples are added with the help of the respondents. That means, first of all, the researcher locates some respondents, then start interviewing them. And in the course of interview, he comes to know from the respondents that there are other people who are more knowledgeable or else what I did in my study. About now, the example I have already given, that is, an Indian researcher has gone to London to know the social issues of the NRI Indians who live in London. So, first of all, he starts with interviewing some of the respondents, and later on, with the help of the initially contacted respondents, he identified the other respondents as well with the help of the respondents only. And in this way, the number of samples becomes the number of sample become more. Then he or she interview the new samples, new members, new individuals. Can you see now?
Yes, ma'am.
Excuse me, sir, madam.
Ma'am, it is partially visible, not full.
Ma'am, please, your PPT send in WhatsApp group.
Sir, I think it is the network issue, so that
आता काय काय आहे सध्या काय काय आहे
hello, ma'am.
काळजी
Hello,
कशाची
madam is there.
तुरीच्या डाळीचा माझा काय विषय नाही तुम्हाला खायला लिहू शकते तुम्ही बघा तुम्हाला वरण मस्त गरम करायचं त्याला कसं आहे बघायचं भाकर आहे तू जेवणारीस का नाही काय खाल्ली तर भूक नाही म्हणायचं नाही जेवायचं पडतंय आज इकडं तू हलणच बाळा असं जागेवर भूक लागते मग करावं लागते इकडे इकडे नाच इकडे इकडे नाच आतून नाच या बाहेर नाच
It's visible now, ma'am.
It's visible.
तिथे जेवावं लागतंय तुला काय खायचं भात वरून खातेस का हा थोडा फक्त पांढरा भात कर थोडा वरण आलं नीट गरम गरम कर तेवढ्यात मग खाणं मान मी काय लगेच म्हणणार सांगला लाव तर त्याचा राग येईल मला मान मोडून घ्यायचं ग
Sebati ma'am, please unmute yourself.
Can you see, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am, it's
Is
visible.
it visible now?
Yes, ma'am, visible.
Yes. Yes, ma'am, visible.
Please note it down. Please see. I'm so sorry. Please excuse me. Actually, technical problem, no?
Okay, ma'am, it's not issue. So you carry on.
Carry on, madam.
Okay, okay. I'll be just showing one by one. The first PPT is over.
Ma'am, are you going to explain or we have to take it down? We have to make notes of it or something?
Write it down. Yes, I'll explain again.
Ma'am, I think sir will
And
share
I'll
it with us. I
explain
think.
Yes, I'll explain it will be very simple. There are two kinds of survey. One is census survey and the other is sample survey. In census survey, all households or individuals are included in the survey. That means in census of India or population census, no household is excluded, and that will be a wrong procedure to exclude any household, any state, or any district. So each household in the country are included in the sample. And when there was problem, Jammu and Kashmir was excluded, and that was a political issue. But generally, in sample survey, each household is included. But in case of sample survey, it process of selection. That means in social sciences, sampling techniques are methods to select respondents from a target population to study. That means instead of selecting all household, for example, in a village or for example, in a classroom, if somebody, I give generally this example to my students. My students are sitting in the class and there are 80 students sitting, and suddenly one researcher comes. Then she asks to study our students' behavior or the facilities available in the college. So the researcher can select some of the students, and in this case, the class of students, 80 students are sitting there, and they are a homogeneous group because they belong to the same class. Whatever personal background are they having, or family background, but after all they belong to the same class. They are classmates to each other. So in this case, the researcher selects simple random sampling. That means there are 80 students, but in this class, each student, the first student or the last student, the third student, the fourth student, the fifth or sixth, each one has an equal chance, or we can say an immediate and equal chance to be selected. Who knows who will be interviewed the next, who will be the next interviewee? The researcher selects the respondents, any one of them. And for a better understanding, we can say when some portion of the study universe is selected for the study, for the whole study area or the whole study area. The study area is called the study universe. That means the village. For example, we are going to study the village people, the population of the village. That means the village is the study universe, the study area, the field of study where we are supposed to study the population. So when some portion, that means we are not going to select or we are not going to include all households, all individuals in our sample. When some portion of the study universe is selected for a study for the whole study area, the process of selection is called sampling. That means the way we select, the process we follow to select individuals, groups, or households is known as sampling. The process of selection is called sampling. It is clearly written here. Then that means instead of taking all household, interviewing all individuals, we can take some samples and these samples, the selected samples are the representative of the whole study area or the study universe. But the researcher has to be very careful, very careful about the proportion of samples to be selected and the type of sample he would choose. And again, we would say that there are two types of sampling. One is the probability sampling and the other is non-probability sampling. In probability sampling, individuals are selected from a population using a random process. It ensures each member has an equal and non-chance of being chosen. This random selection minimizes bias. Then we have already discussed it. Then we have non-probability sampling. And in probability sampling, we have simple random sampling, stratified sampling, cluster sampling, multi-step sampling. Generally, we use in this type, in four types of sampling. Generally, we use simple random sampling, but all samples are important. Sampling methods are important, and we have to answer in the. I mean, when we are studying a research paper, we have to study all these methods to know and to write in our exam. But when we conduct a study, we use a few of them, like simple random sampling, stratified sampling. We have already discussed in detail about simple random sampling and about stratified sampling. Stratification particular form of social inequality that we study in the classroom in sociology about the society is stratified on the basis Indian society is divided in its stratified many stratas. The society is divided into or stratified into many stratas on the basis of their caste position, Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and apart from these fourfold division, there are also examples which we call Harijan, Anusuchit Jati, Janjati, and the constitutional is like in English it is scheduled caste and scheduled tribe. That means their
Hello, madam. Hello, madam. Yes, you dear. I think Madam is some network issue, so that time is over. So we have to conclude this session. My heartfelt thanks goes to our distinguished resource person and expert who have shared their valuable insight and enriched us with knowledge of tools, technique, and application of quantitative research. I also acknowledge the sincere effort of my colleagues in the organizing committee, technical team, and supporting staffs whose dedication made this online workshop run so smoothly. Above all, I extend my thanks to all the participants from different regions and institutions whose active involvement and interaction made this workshop truly meaningful. Finally, we bow in gratitude to the Almighty for the successful completion of today's program. Thank you so much.
Good night, everyone.
Madam, thank you very much, madam.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.